Welcome back to my channel. My name is Allie, and today I'm going to be sharing some of the pros and cons of working at a company called AlphaSights. Make sure you stick through this video because I'm going to be going over all the pros and cons I experienced while working at AlphaSights. Let's start off with a brief introduction of what AlphaSights is. Expert networks connect business decision makers to leading experts in various markets through phone calls. As a client service associate at AlphaSights, you would be finding the right experts, facilitating these phone calls, scheduling them, making sure that they happen in accordance to company's policies and legal guidelines. But if you're considering interviewing or working here, this video is definitely going to be super helpful because I'm going to go over a lot of the pros and cons that you should consider to determine if or not you would be a good fit at this company. I went to UCLA, majored in economics. I had a really positive experience interning in Korea and China through college, so that made me really want to work abroad after college. I applied to AlphaSights for a full-time associate role the summer before my senior year of college, and I accepted my offer that summer. I was really excited to go to the New York office and then eventually be transferred to the Shanghai office. So that's some background on me and my role at this company. Let's get right into the pros and cons. And as always in these videos, I'm gonna start off with the pros. The first pro is that I really enjoyed the work environment and the people that I was working alongside. I think that's a really, really important aspect in your job. And that was also one of the reasons why I was so keen to work at this company. All the people that I had met were just genuinely so likable and really grateful all around. So the people at AlphaSights are great, and you're gonna have a great internal network. The second huge pro is AlphaSights has office spaces in some of the most exciting metropolitan cities in the world: New York, San Francisco, Shanghai, Seoul, Dubai, London. That's just to name a few of them. There are 9 in total. If you want to work in one of those top metropolitan cities, AlphaSights is definitely one of the companies that does a really great job at having these amazing locations where a lot of business and transactions take place. I wanted to work in New York, I wanted to work in Shanghai, and the program that I was in would allow me to do both. That was one of the reasons why I ultimately accepted my offer. So another pro is that AlphaSights has such a fun office culture. Things like Friday beers, corporate events like Christmas parties. Each team also does team events. Every month or so, there's always something fun to look forward to in the corporate settings. All their offices around the world does their own fun things. Another pro of working at AlphaSights is that you take so much initiative over your own work. That's not something that can be said about all jobs. If you work at AlphaSights though, you will definitely begin taking accountability right off the bat. As a self-starter, this is a really, really great opportunity to really independently grow and develop. Huge pro is that working as an associate at AlphaSights, you learn so much about the practical aspects of business. This role helped me understand how businesses and industries are really run. It still blows my mind that you could learn so much on a role like this so fresh out of college. It's just going to teach you how businesses around the world correspond to market movements or geopolitical movements. It's just honestly such an interesting role. Another pro is that from how the interior is intentionally designed to the whole energy of the office, the culture of the office itself is very young, energetic, and friendly. Honestly, the majority of the people are under 26 years old. AlphaSights does a really great job of picking the best talent, and being in that environment of super high achievers, really passionate, outgoing, intelligent people, is especially when a lot of these people are such a young age. It's really an inspiring environment to be. Other great thing about this, if you're working at this company straight out of college, it's sort of a nice bridgeway into the real world, and a lot of the workers here are straight out of college. It's a really smooth transition. Like at some points, I almost felt like I was still in college. I really loved that kind of young and energetic vibe. 2 last pros I'm gonna go over super quickly. I think the pay is pretty good. In New York, you get a whole spectrum of pay and a whole spectrum of working hours, but I think for the hours and the work that you're doing, the pay is relatively good. If you're able to hit the bonuses, then I think that really puts you in a good spot in terms of pay. I was able to comfortably pay my rent on top of going out with friends and eating out and shopping. So it's definitely a comfortable pay to support your lifestyle in the city. Last thing I'm going to quickly go over, in your role, you're talking to so many clients and experts across all these diverse, unimaginable industries. That process itself is really cool. Especially if you love talking to people, you are going to talk to some really exceptional people in your time here over the phone. You get to talk to some of the leading figures in business around the world. All in all, it's a very exciting and also humbling experience. Also want to go over some cons. First con is that the work itself is very specific. Although the projects that you're working on are going to be very diverse and very exciting, actual day-to-day tasks that you're doing, the emails, the phone calls, the scheduling, that's going to be very specific and it could get slightly repetitive. That is a con that comes with an industry that you might want to be cognizant of for going into this industry as an associate. The third con that I want to bring up is that the role can be very tiring. If any of you guys have worked in client service before, you'll know that it's all about the client, and since a lot of the clients are in the finance space, the timeline of the projects almost feels like a consulting type of timeline. Go from college to looking at a computer screen all day. When you throw on this job where you're making a lot of high pressure phone calls, clients are waiting on you for results, it can get really tiring. Just to backtrack a little bit more, I think New York in general has a very tiring corporate culture, especially in the business sectors. I don't think it's super company specific. I'm coming from California. Notoriously, LA work culture is a bit more chill. In New York, people play a lot harder and work a lot harder. In this job, the hours are going to be slightly longer than a 9 to 5, and sometimes you're going to have a little bit of work outside of your office hours. Something I would definitely pay mind to. I did experience burnout at certain points of the job. So I would say that it's a very exciting role, but it can get tiring. Another con, turnover at this company is pretty high. That's not just coming from me. Like if you were to look at Glassdoor, or if you talk to people who have worked here or know people who work here, you'll probably know that the turnover is very high. Working at AlphaSights, you are constantly going to be aware of your sales results. It's a very quota-based role. Some people really excel in this kind of environment, but for some people, it might not be the most productive environment for them to do their best work or to grow the most as a professional. So the only flip side about the overall company environment is that it's not as diverse. A lot of the associates here are from East Coast private schools, pretty well off, and a lot of them were in sororities or fraternities. I wouldn't say that's a huge con, but it was definitely a different and less diverse environment in some ways than I had been used to growing up in California. So the last con that I want to bring up is that the role can feel a little bit impersonal. You are talking to really cool experts in the field, but at the same time, you're representing a business objective, a sale that you're trying to close between two parties. Kind of puts you in an awkward position where you're inspired by the people that you're talking to, but at the same time, you recognize that you're really just a vessel to propel this business or this interaction forward. There's sort of a layer of separation, which can be a little bit awkward and take a little bit of getting used to. It's not a huge con or anything, but I just wanted to throw that out there if you're considering this kind of role. Alright, so those are some of the significant pros and cons that stood out to me in my experience working at AlphaSights for half a year in the New York office. Ultimately, I realized it wasn't the right fit for me for a couple of reasons, and I'm not going to go too into depth about them in this particular video because it's more related to myself than AlphaSights as a company. Coming to New York and living here for a while and dating my boyfriend, I started to have some shifts about wanting to relocate to Asia. I think the pros really outweigh the cons, especially for a role fresh out of college. You're going to learn so much. You're gonna meet such incredible and inspiring people. Let me know if you guys like videos like this or have suggestions for things you'd want to learn more about that I could help inform on. Leave a comment below. I'd love to know if you're in high school, if you're in college, if you're post-grad, or if you've been working for a few years. Leave a comment about where you are. I'd love to learn more. I know the whole process of looking for a job and finding a job you love is really, really difficult. So kudos to you for going out there and doing the research. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope it was helpful. And my camera cut off, but lastly, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like on this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.